and try and give,
Yeah.
but the initiation was out of my hands for every single one of them. So I was born on third base on that one, quite literally.
Yeah. You didn't hit a
So
triple.
no. So I would love for you to, again, yeah, let's talk about agency. Let's talk about ways that the younger men can access this incredibly powerful relationship.
Yeah. So when
So,
I
so
came,
yeah, what do you got?
when I came to Christ, my dad had just died. So, I show up in church. My mom drags me there, and word gets around among the staff, I guess, or the older people. That kid's dad just died. So a man jumped into my life. He happened to be the youth pastor. He showed up at where I worked. He came and shot hoops with me. He invited me to his home for a meal. His name was Russ Austin, and he continues to be maybe the most influential man that's ever been a part of my life. And like you, I have been blessed with a number of these. But this is an example of up and down. So that one came to me. There's a guy who sees me and says, I want to lean into this guy. I reciprocated. I was generous to him. I was selling shoes in the mall, making a lot of money for a high school kid. So I was so grateful. I bought him gifts and bought meals, and so he came to me. When I'm a young married guy, Sue and I go from double income, no kids, to youth pastor income and two kids, and I am terrible at money management at that point in my life. And there was an older guy in the church who taught what is now Financial Peace University, Dave Ramsey. This is
Mm,
Dave Ramsey wasn't around yet, but he had learned this system from a guy named Ken Blue, I think, something Blue, Ron Blue. Anyway, I knew he taught this material. And so I called him and I said, look, man, my finances are a mess. I'm embarrassed. Could you help me? And he said, bring me every checkbook. This is when you balance your checkbook and,
sure.
had paper bank statements. He said, bring me all your stuff. Come to my office. So I literally threw things in a paper sack, bank statements and checkbooks and bills. And I walked in his office and I just dumped the sack on his desk. And I was humiliated, John. I mean, this is one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. And he said, look, man, you're normal. Most people are not taught how to do this and they don't know how. And he was just so gracious. And he spent a long time just teaching me basic personal finance. That guy's name was Dan White. Changed my life. So one of those came to me, one of those I went to. My point is, it has to go both ways. And so, the question for you, John, these you are lucky. You fell into a few. So the question for you is, well, who are you going to pursue? Like, who's downline? You got every Paul needs a Barnabas, and Paul has a Timothy. So you should have one up, one down. And this will be the challenge even for young guys. Well, look down too. Look down the pipeline and do some reaching, just like people have reached into your life. So I think it I think it's I think I'm sitting at Denver Seminary listening to I forget the guy's name. Author he wrote a great bunch of great books. Gordon something.
Mm,
Anyway, he's talking about this need men have for brothers and mentors. And he named a few of his, like I just did name some of mine. And I raised my hand at the Q&A time. I'm like, how do you find those guys? This was like 30 years ago.
mm.
He said the same way I found my wife. You date them. So you ask a guy out for coffee and you say, hey, I'd like to buy you a cup of coffee. I'll come to you. Uh, but I just would like to ask you a handful of questions and then show up with some questions because guys don't know how to just start mentoring you. So have questions. My favorite relationships with guys who've wanted to learn from me, young guys who are in school preparing to be ministers, who say, hey, can I come talk to you? I like it when they show up with the questions, not just sitting them go, they sit in my chair and go, now tell me stuff, make me smarter, help me. I like it when they have a question. And here's the thing, when they're dramatically younger than me and they come in there and they ask me questions, but they don't have anything to write down the answers with, I'm like, why do you want, it's a disrespectful thing. Like, if you think I can help you, wouldn't you at least bring something to write down notes if in
Sure.
in in the off chance that something worth writing down would occur?
Yeah.
When you come without expecting that, you're telling me I don't expect anything meaningful to come out of this. I just wanted to take up some of your time.
Right. Well, and that's yeah, so much of that is we didn't talk as much about it as we should have in the last one, but the respect factor
Yeah,
of all relationships in general, specifically male relationships, respect is huge.
it's a big
Even
deal.
even if it's an irreverent friendship,
Hmm.
even if it's a buddy that all you do is joke around and kind of kill time,
Yeah,
the mutual respect there is huge. In the mentorship relationship, would you say that's even more of a factor?
I think it is uh, because if you're going to take somebody's time and you're going to ask them to speak into your life, uh, they need to feel that you actually believe that you're going to gain from spending time with them. And
Mhm.
that makes them lean in, that makes them feel like they're not wasting their time. But if you disrespect, like no call, no show, or you're
Oh,
late every time you say, well, hey, every time we're going to meet, you're 15 minutes late. I have guys like that in my past, and at my timer in a scenario like that is 7 minutes. If they don't walk in the door at 7 minutes, I leave, and then
even
they
if they
go,
contact you before?
well, no, if they contact me, I'll wait. But if it's a no call,
Mm.
no show, I leave at 7 minutes, and then I love it when they say, hey, you didn't show up. I say, no, I did show up. I left at this time because you weren't there. I assumed you weren't coming
Yeah.
because I hadn't heard from you. So that respect is a big deal. That made me sound like a pompous, arrogant jerk,
No,
but
no.
that's part of the mentoring relationship. Like if
Yeah.
you're not willing to take, this is a part of the humility of that. I've also in a mentoring relationship had somebody say to me, "Hey, can I offer you some feedback?" A younger person,
Mm.
and yeah, man, if we're not mutual learners and have mutual humility, it's not going to work. So
Yeah.
that's an important part too.
Then okay, so the sell here is, as always, one thing listeners should know about you is you've said that if you were not called to ministry, you could have done Jimmy's used cars and you could have been a millionaire by the time of 30. So you can sell. You've sold mentorship.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's say a young man listening says, I'm in. You made the sell. I
yeah,
want to find that mentor.
yeah,
You would say, after you've, well, what we know, once you identify a candidate, reach out with some questions. Say, could I buy you a cup of coffee, and kind of talk to them that way. What if they don't have a candidate right away? Do you have any kind of tips for that?
yeah. First of all, you need to uh, embrace that it's normal to be afraid to do this. So
Mm.
you're not weak if you go, man, that scares the crap out of me. So it's okay to be anxious about it. But questions are the doorway to mentorship. So if you say, well, I don't really see any candidates, if that means you need to get out more. But even if you are, say, in a church or at work or in your neighborhood, just you're constantly watching for guys that impress you,
Mm.
that have something about them you admire. If you don't have any of those and you do have a friend or two, start asking people your age, hey, have you ever had a mentor? How did you find them? Who is it? Could I sit in on one of your conversations? So at least keep your feet moving.
Yeah, and then once you have them acknowledged, or you've picked a candidate, you would say, yeah, reach out with those questions, invite them to a coffee, and go from there.
And I would say you don't start with, I'd like you to be my mentor for the next 20 years of my life. You don't start off like that.
Asking
Hey,
the gal you just went out for coffee with, do you want to marry
yes,
me?
yes. Guys don't like that either. By the way, next week, Valentine's week, we're going to have an episode, a 1024 and an episode for you on the state of dating because it's a dismal environment out there. And some of you are married. That's okay. Hang in here because you got friends who are dating. It's going to be a big conversation. But yeah, uh, if you're looking for a mentor or someone to be with, to spend some time with, they're going to get creeped out too if you come on too strong or you're asking them to make a long-term commitment.
Mm.
And then when you have that meal or that coffee and you ask several questions, at the end of the thing, if it's been meaningful to you, then you could say to them, man, would it be okay if we did this again? Not if we did it every month, once a week, none of that. Would it be okay if we did this again? And how far out would that be for you to be uh, amenable to your schedule? And then after the second one, man, this is fun. I wonder if you'd be willing to make this a regular thing. And what would regular look like to you? So I think that'd be my advice. And it's a compliment to ask someone. I have had to be just, to make sure we're showing every side of the coin. When I was in Montana, there was a pastor of a larger church. He really impressed me. We took a grad school class together. And I said to him, man, I would love to be on your calendar maybe once a month. I'll come to you. We lived 50 miles apart. I'll come to you. I'll buy your lunch. Would you be open to that? And he said, man, I really would, but I got 7 of you right now, and I don't have room for
Mm,
8. And so that's okay. It was,
that's tough.
I really wanted to be on his list, but he didn't have time. So there's going to be people who say no. That's okay. You
Yeah.
got to ask anyway.
Yeah. That's
And
good stuff, man.
I think the last thing I would say about this is that mentors don't look for talent; they look for teachability. So, you know, uh, one of the things I notice is how many questions the people I'm with ask about me.
Mm,
You know me, John. I ask piles of questions. I can talk about you for hours because I love to know. I love to learn, and I ask lots of questions. There are people that I'll be with for 2 hours and they haven't asked me a single question about myself or about my life or about how I feel about something. And, those are the ones I don't have time for. I don't care how talented you are. I care about how teachable you are or how much you want to keep learning.
yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Okay, let's go to the fourth quarter, John. We're down to quarter number 4, and we've called this quarter the long game of brotherhood. Talk about that.